For a long time, I didn't believe in AI. To me, it was just spitting out random text or summarizing books, a buzzword that companies use to inflate their valuations, but not that useful in real business. But then one concept flipped everything for me. In just 30 seconds, I went from AI skeptic to quitting my director job and building my entire career around AI. That's when I realized I'd been looking at AI all wrong. And the difference came down to one idea: Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. In this video, I'll show you what made it click for me. By the end, you'll know exactly what RAG means and why it matters without the jargon. Think of it like learning to drive a car. You don't need to open the hood to understand how powerful it is. Once you see this, you'll never look at AI the same way again. So here's the first thing that I want to show you. I created a very simple assistant in ChatGPT with a simple prompt. And what I'm trying to get is a customer asked this question: why was my account locked? And I wanted to generate an answer based on all of my policies that are also uploaded as PDF. It's a lot of documents. Each document is a few pages long. Then at the end, I also want to get how many tokens it used, because ChatGPT charges per million tokens. So you want to keep track of how many you're using and make sure you're not overcharged for this. So here's the answer. I get something very generic: multiple failed attempt logins, everything that you would expect from ChatGPT, very generic text. And important at the end is it actually shows you 37,000 tokens. And the reason for that is because every single file needs to be processed and understood. So the AI has to look at every single piece of content that you have and actually get the information it needs in order to answer properly. So with that method, and only using ChatGPT, well, not only it's quite annoying, you have to upload all the documents for every single question you have. It's repetitive, it's not fun. Two, it's quite generic. And three is it's expensive. I'll show you how with a RAG, you can actually do that for 16 times cheaper. So let me show you exactly how I did that. I'm an engineer. I like to break things apart. So this is what I'm doing here. AI agents can do that very quickly, but I want to take it step by step and walk you through that process so that you understand exactly how that works in a day-to-day situation. So here are the same documents that I uploaded into ChatGPT, but here I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I'm going to chunk them up in chunks of 500 characters, and I'm going to give it to the AI to assign a specific set of numbers that represents a meaning for the AI. And the reason I'm doing that is because the AI can then understand similar meanings almost immediately and can give you a really good answer for the question that you're looking for and find you all the chunks of text that are similar to what you asked. So here's the example, right? It's chunked up all the text. I've already done that ahead. I have a whole video on this and I'll link it here so you can see how that works. But the idea is to chunk every single piece of text within the PDF and assigning an embedding or vector in this case, which is a list of 1,500 numbers. It represents nothing to us. That's not the point. The AI understands it, and that's what really matters here. So it went through all of the documents, chunked everything up for me. It took less than a minute, but not everything is in my database exactly how I want it. And in order to break things apart, now what I did is I took the process of finding very similar meaning, finding similar vectors that we can pass into a separate prompt that will give us better answers and cheaper. And I want to show you exactly how that works. In the chat here, I'm going to put in any question that I want. In this case, the same question that we had before in the ChatGPT prompt. So why was my account locked? And what it's going to do is going to turn that specific question also into a vector and then find everything similar using my database that I have shown you before. So it's turning it into a vector, getting similar vectors, and you see the list of all the vectors with a similarity. And this is what it returned. You get the exact source that it found it on, the exact chunk. And you see sometimes it's not really ending exactly where you want it, but it found all those chunks across the board in different files. And then you can take those chunks, and instead of uploading all of the policies that you have, you're only passing in the chunks that matter. So the relevant pieces that the AI needs to make a decision. You don't need to pass in the entirety of all your policies and archive of support tickets. So in here, it's the exact same prompt. The only difference is that I'm passing in the context, most relevant chunk from documents. And then this is just a paste from what we had before. And here's the answer. And the first thing that should come to mind is how much more narrow it is and more specific to your company it is compared to the answer we're getting before. Now, it's actually being very specific on what it found. It's giving a specific date. It detected detected 7 failed attempts within 15 minutes coming from a Chicago IP, right? So it's a lot more specific. And of course, it has the list of sources. In this case, it seems there's only one that where the similarity was the closest, and showing you the tokens that it's using, right? We're talking of 2,000 versus 37,000. So it's pretty impressive to see that. And that's kind of what I'm talking about here. It's really cutting up the entire PDF and turning into very small chunks that can be referenced later on. Let's do that for another question. And again, it can be for anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a customer support. You can really chunk up any information you have, any proprietary data, and put it into a RAG system, and it will be able to retrieve only the most accurate pieces. Also, I've only kept 5 pieces here for this sake, but you could also get 10, 15. If you want more context, you can always decide to do that. It doesn't have to be used for customer questions only. It could also be used for internal questions. So let's say what I want to find out here, let's say I want to know how satisfied are customers with our support. So you could be asking that question. It's going to go through the same process and take all of that meaning for you. And this is what it found. It found different chunks that might or might not be relevant. And we're going to take all of that and put that into the prompt. And here you go. You have a more accurate answer that is giving you exactly what you're looking for with all the data grounded on your company information only. And it used 1,000 tokens. Again, if you had sent the exact same prompt originally, it wouldn't matter what your question is, because every single time you ask a question, it needs to go through all your documents again and again and again. It doesn't really have a memory, so that's sort of the issue here. And of course, you can pass in even more specific question about one specific ticket, so you don't have to find exactly where that was. You could just pass in, how did Maria fix her browser? Turning that question into a token and then finding exactly what happened here. You're welcome, Marie. So it seems to have found everything referencing that specific name. All right, we're going to do the same thing. All right, so sending the prompt for how did Maria fix her browser, and it's showing exactly what you would think, right? This process is still quite manual because, again, I decomposed the whole thing. But in the context of an AI agent, it does that automatically. So you would get the answer almost instantly. As a matter of fact, I created a follow-up video where I actually build that kind of system and connect it to Slack so that you can sort of have a chatbot that you can interact with from Slack and ask any of those questions and get the answer almost immediately. So that's another way that you can really use RAG. The point of this video is not to go extremely technical into what it's doing. The point is to really show you step by step the process of RAG and why it's a game changer when it comes to companies and in business, and really how AI can turn things around. So the answer seems pretty accurate. It's referencing multiple files, and well, again, we're still in the 2,000 tokens. So that's the difference between AI that burns money and AI that makes money. That's what made it click for me, and I hope that was helpful for you too. If you want to go one level deeper, check out my other video where I explain vector databases in plain English, because that's the foundation RAG is built on. If you want more content like this, hit like and subscribe. I've got a lot more coming on how to make AI work the right way. I'll see you in the next one.